Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Nerdy Multiverse. All the way back in the year of 2022, DC and comic book fans were introduced to a brand new franchise or universe in film and television that solely follows Batman and the dark, gritty, and crime-filled environment around him. Whether it was just normal crooks and criminals in the streets of Gotham, or Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, or Paul Dano's Riddler. After the movie's release and the amount of success that came with it, being regarded as one of the greatest comic book films ever made by many fans, it was only a matter of time that more projects would follow. Other than a sequel, of course. The first of these projects would be a spin-off, following Colin Ferrel's Penguin in an 8-episode series. Now, going into the series at first, we knew pretty much little to nothing, other than the fact that our main character would be Oz Cobb, of course. But once the series came out, we finally got our story. And man, was it incredible. Building upon the story of the Batman after the Riddler had bombed and drowned over half of the city of Gotham, it was only a matter of time before crime picked back up and people tried to rise in power. When it comes to the story of Batman and Gotham City overall, there have always been major figures in the crime world, the Penguin being one of them, of course. However, this series is his story of him building himself up, manipulating, fighting, and working non-stop to get to the very top of the underworld and become the kingpin of Gotham. But of course, he has to get through those that stand in his way. In DC Comics, there are quite a few notable crime lords in Gotham's underworld, challenging for that very throne, such as Black Mask, Two-Face, the Falcons, and the Maronis. With the Falcons and the Maronis already being present in the Batman film, with Carmine Falcone getting plenty of screen time, and the Maronis' rivalry with him and his family brought up time and time again, it gave us a pretty good idea about who would be standing in Oswald's way. But with Carmine dead by the hands of the Riddler, it was a question as to who would take his spot and lead the Falcone family. This is where the show's incredible cast is put into existence. Now, of course, we had the incredibly talented Colin Ferrel reprise his role as the Penguin. And just as they did in the Batman, he is made completely unrecognizable with the amazing makeup and prosthetics. The series would then go on to cast Kristen Milioti as Sophia Falcone, another rather prominent Batman villain from the comics. She's not as popular as characters such as the Joker, but she is still in his rogues gallery, going by the nickname of the Hangman, as well as casting Clancy Brown as Salvatore Maroni. No matter the role that this guy is in, he always kills it. These two would be the major figures in Oz's way. As the story progressed, Oz really was in this by himself and for himself. He had to manipulate his way through the families and secretly make allies outside of them and within them. In the very first episode, he ended up meeting a character by the name of Victor Aguilar, played by Renzi Feliz. Oz would recruit him as his little sidekick after having him help dispose of Alberto Falcone, being Oz's first move in all of this. And these two's dynamic would turn into one of the best ones in this entire series. Slowly but surely, these two would grow to trust each other, practically with their lives, saving each other on multiple occasions and growing a bond while they were at it. Oz even eventually trusting Vic with looking after his mother, Frances Cobb, played by Deirdre O'Connell, which brings us our sort of core cast. Of course, we did have supporting characters such as Dr. Julian Rush, who himself caused a lot of uproar in the fandom, with loads of theories being brought into fruition about who he could end up being in this universe, if anybody. As well as characters like Eve Carlo, Oz's love interest, Alberto Falcone, Sophia's brother, and Luca Falcone and Johnny Vitti, members of the Falcone family, but the opposition to Sophia Falcone. And speaking of Sophia Falcone herself, this character just absolutely blew me away. Christie went above and beyond with Sophia. Her development is masterful, going from a girl who was nothing but innocent and only standing by her father's side to someone getting framed for something that she did not do, and eventually going somewhat insane and turning into that image that was drawn of her beforehand. A truly tragic backstory that turned her into the villain that she is now. Someone else with a tragic backstory is Victor Aguilar, a victim of the Riddler's bombings, losing his family in the floods and being left alone on the streets of Gotham, only to be brought into the world of crime by Oswald, just to be taken out because of it, suffering from nothing but tragedy and falling into a falsehood of trust, which is even more of a display of the writing in this series and its incredible quality. Something that this series does so well to remind us is that there is not a single hero in any of this. Sophia Falcone is not a hero, and neither is the Penguin. You may root for one at one point, but then root for the other in the next episode after learning what they have done to each other. But in the end, neither of them are good people. Something that Colin Ferrel stated quite a bit before this show's premiere is that this series is not going to make you like Oz, and it in fact did not. In a landscape saturated with superhero narratives, with many projects failing to label a villain as an actual villain, the Penguin really stands out, not just as a spin-off project, but as a transformative piece of storytelling that delves deep into the complexities of its titular character, and reminding us that Oz is in fact a villain and an evil and disgusting person. By the end, the audience itself got to experience what it felt like to get betrayed by the Penguin, just like every other character in the series experienced themselves. As after all of their work together and their bonding and their dynamic improving and developing, Oz just goes off and kills Vic, mugs him, and tosses his identification into the water. The same exact thing that claimed the lives of Victor's family is now the same thing that drowned out his identity. So now for him, he is just going to be labeled as another John Doe in Gotham City. Yet another display of the incredible storytelling. The show likes to make you forget that Oz is a true villain by giving you pieces of his backstory, making you empathize with him in a way, due to his past struggles. But in the end, we are reminded that the Penguin is just as much of a reflection that villains such as the Joker and Two-Face are within Batman's rogues gallery. Something that this series does so well is also just solely focus on the character's presence present. It does not need to rely on cameos or constant mention of other main characters in the franchise, such as Batman or Catwoman, not until the very end of the series, ultimately giving it its own unique and tasteful story, but also connecting it to the past and now the future. This show builds on the previous film and somehow makes it even better than it already was. Every single decision made in this series is a testament to its writing, leaving Sophia Falcone alive and sending her back to hell on Earth, aka Arkham, and then connecting her with her half-sister, Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, leaves us all so excited for the future that could come with these two characters. And then Oz finally winning and becoming the Kingpin of Gotham, with a bittersweet ending in his own eyes, leaving him with the thought that he has won and that nothing stands in his way now, as the bat signal lights in the sky in the distance, serving as a warning to what is to come for the evil people in Gotham, including Oswald. And I am sure that after seeing just how evil Oz is, we will all anxiously be waiting for Batman to give him another beating. At the very heart of the Penguin series is Oswald Cobb. And yes, I know, not Oswald Cobblepot as he is known from the comics. They only refer to him as Oz Cobb or Oswald Cobb in this series and the movie so far. But anyways, a character that is honestly often relegated to the shadows in other Batman narratives, with villains such as Bane or the Joker taking the more major villain roles. The series brilliantly recontextualizes him, showcasing his evolution from what we thought was a misunderstood outcast to a very formidable player and eventually evil and disgusting kingpin in Gotham's underworld. The writers craft a rich backstory that somewhat humanizes him at certain points and sort of makes you empathize for him due to his struggles. Something that really changes when the series comes to an end. A character that, much like the Riddler, puts on a mask that he wants to help those in need, but in reality, he only wants the fragile ego of his stroked and never challenged again. The Penguin bravely tackles themes of power, loyalty, crime, and corruption. It explores the moral ambiguities of its characters, making you question what it means to be a villain in a city rife with corruption, alongside the dark and gritty themes, making for an incredible crime series, much like The Sopranos, that's just set inside of the Batman universe. The production value of The Penguin is also nothing short of extraordinary. The cinematography, just as it was in the Batman, captures the grim atmosphere of Gotham, creating a visually stunning backdrop, just as it did in the previous film. The attention to detail in set design, costume, and lighting immerses us in this dark world, making it feel so authentic and alive. Something that Matt Reeves seems to be a complete master of now. The constant aspects of things such as violence, betrayal, drugs, shootouts, and corruption showcase that real tone of Gotham City's underworld and how grueling it can truly be. Every single member of the cast delivers performances that elevate the series to a whole new level. Each actor brings a nuance to their role, and in In my eyes, there is not a single particular actor that stood above any other. Oswald, Sophia, Victor, and Francis, being that sort of core cast, were all portrayed in a way that would just leave you amazed, really. The depth of emotion and complexity that they convey adds so much to the story, and it makes every single scene that they were in so impactful. Matt Reeves has now proven twice that he knows exactly what he is doing with this franchise or saga. 2 incredible projects and 2 projects that will be cemented as top tier when regarding comic book film and television. But obviously, Matt Reeves was not the only one responsible for this series, of course. The incredible writers, actors, and showrunner Lauren LaFranc made the Penguin what it was. This series is not merely just a superhero television series. It is a real spectacle in storytelling, character development, and thematic exploration. The action-packed and heart-wrenching finale being a testament to how well these characters are written and portrayed. The show's innovative approach and compelling performances created such a rich tapestry that not many superhero projects are capable of in modern day. It has become very clear to me and many others that the Penguin is an absolute masterpiece, not only in superhero media, but in the totality of modern television. And I believe that it is safe to say that this series is one of, if not the greatest comic book television series ever made. And it proves that you can keep villains on their own without removing their rotten aspect. This series just steps ahead the typical superhero trope, and it really redefines its entire meaning. This is a character-driven crime drama that follows Oswald and the rest of the underworld in Gotham first, and a Batman show last. Many superhero projects these days fail to focus on the main aspects in the project. Many superhero projects these days rely on things like name drops or cameos or comedy, or even going to the lengths of making these villains anti-heroes, which makes this series so special because it did none of that. The ending of this all is going to leave fans super anxious and excited for the future. Whether it's the Batman Part 2 or other possible spin-offs that are still not known of, such as a possible Catwoman series. Either way though, with the light in the sky now, we all know who is coming back into the world of Gotham City next. I'm not one to care much for awards like Emmys or the sort, but after this series, if Colin Ferrel and Kristen Milioti do not win something for their performances, or if this show does not win something, something is seriously wrong. Anyways though, in my opinion, the Penguin had absolutely zero misses. Every single episode was absolutely incredible, and it somehow managed to just get better and better as each week passed by. An easy 10 out of 10 for me. They absolutely stuck the landing with this one perfectly, and now this may be my top show of 2024, although it may be tied with the likes of Shogun. But yeah, that about does it for the Penguin, at least for now. I wouldn't be surprised if they go through with a second season after the success, but of course, I would like to hear your thoughts on the series as well, so make sure to leave them down below. Anyways though, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like. And with that being said, we will see you all the next time that we go through and explore the nerdy multiverse.